Okay, so the first step here is to break open the old case using a razor blade. Here, the key fob, I'm going to be starting from one side, cutting over all the way around. The next step, I will pull out the key to gain better access to the nub that sticks out. That is the easiest place to then break the case half open with the razor blade, and then just be careful to not nick the circuit board as you're cutting into that, and just finish all the way around to separate the two halves. Okay, now that I have the two halves apart, we're going to be preparing to desolder the battery terminals. So here we have the circuit board, and if we look here, we have the two terminals that I'm going to be desoldering. On this side we have the battery, and you can see it's a VL2020. It's 90 degrees apart, and Amazon will distinguish it in the description, so just look for that one. Also, I'll be using a solder iron wick and a solder sucker to remove the solder from the board, and yeah, all right, let's get started on that. Okay, so here we need to inspect the battery pin terminal for the sizes, and what I have done is use the combination of the wicking and the solder sucker to remove this battery. You can see it's kind of an intricate battery here that was used. And here as I zoom in to the contacts, or where they were, I removed the solder from those two locations, and on the right hand side it used to stick a little bit, and I was able to get it off, but usually the pins are bent during the insertion process to help solder that. Here we have the new battery. It was made in China. It is a Panasonic VL2020. You probably can't see it. It's a 3 volt. And then what I will do is flip over the board and put it in. There is a large pin and a small pin that go into that place, and I will solder it together. Here I have the new battery installed. It was a little bit of a tight fit. You can see how I pushed down on the terminals and they're kind of sprung out. Just push them down enough before you solder it so that way it fits in the case. Okay, I'm going to flux the contacts and then hit it with solder, and then it should look like this after. Now it's cleaning time, so I'm going to be using some rubbing alcohol to then clean off the contacts here, clean off the flux, so that way it won't cause any issues like corrosion or any other issues with any other contacts. Okay, now it's time to test this before putting it in the case. Up above here I have a brand new case that I've already put the BMW emblem on. So I'm going to do that before snapping the two halves together, just to make sure it works. Alright, so I'm in my garage, and now I'll be hitting the unlock, and the doors are unlocking, and I will hit the lock, and it seems to be working, so we can put the top half on. So now we have the new key. This is the end product. This is what it looks like from the side and the back. It basically just snaps together. And so here I have already inserted my regular cut key, and this is the blank key that the one came with. Of course, that's the whole reason why we're doing this, so we can use the buttons instead of having to use the key to enter. And then there were some issues with the key maybe being too thick to fit into the keyhole, so I will be testing that later. If you look at the profile from the side, that emblem might be sticking out just a little bit too much. If you look from the side, maybe you'll see it just protrudes a little bit. So I'll be doing a test later to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the key slot and can start just fine. Hopefully the emblem won't fall off during that time. But in general, this is the product that you'll have when you're complete. Now I just have to do this a second time. I had another key that I did not use ever, and it also went dead, so I will also have to cut the side of it, scribe it all the way around, and do this same procedure again for the secondary key. So I'm going to go through that again right now. So now I'm going over in more detail of how to open this key case. I'm having a little bit more of an issue with this one. I'm still using the same method of trying to separate from this location here, but overall, once I scribe through this, I can then pry it open a little bit easier. Alright, so here I'm showing you how many times I've been scribing the side. You can see my marks aren't exactly straight here, but I want to show you that it is difficult sometimes with different keys. This one seems to be a little bit more stubborn, and I'm not able to open it, so just take your time, don't cut yourself, maybe use a towel or something to protect, and just razor blade slowly and try not to cut into the circuit board. Okay, this one went really well. The solder sucker got it, and the flux happened to help it suck it up really quick, so I had no issues with this one. Here's what the second key looks like before the emblem is placed on here. It's still 2 halves, so what I'll go ahead and do is put the emblem on before putting the new circuit board in there, and then we can call it good. This is what it looks like inside. The emblem is provided in this key fob. Alright, so the next test is taking the key and putting it in the slot and starting the car, clutch in. Key slot works just fine, so in and out. Alright, so I just got done working on this BMW battery, and it splits in half into 2 pieces, and then you buy a new case and repair it and replace that battery. But here I happen to have a new Acura MDX key where you press the button and slide out the key, and then I'm going to turn it on its side here so you can see the slot that you can stick the key into and then twist it to then separate the bottom and top half of the key fob. So here's the location that you put the key in, and you twist it and it pops the back case off. So now you just twist it and pop it off, and here comes the top half. And yeah, it seems to be much easier than the BMW batteries with having to break the cases off and everything. So this one is removable. Thank you, Acura, for kind of thinking through this instead of having to solder on a battery and destroy an old case and provide a new one. So the battery here was a CR2032, and that is one you can purchase from the store.